So, what is this rule? This phonological rule is that when we have a T sound in most dialects of North American English, if it comes after an R or between two vowels, the latter of which leads an unstressed syllable, we're going to flap the T or use this tapping motion for our T. So, a regular T sound in North American English has aspiration when we push our tongue off just above the teeth. We're going to do this T, and that aspiration is, you can feel it on your hand, but you can also see this aspiration. So if we're not aspirating the T and we're not releasing the T, we're going to do this quick little tapping or flapping motion. So if you think about a flag flapping in the wind, it is kind of the fact that the fabric of the flag is loose and it's able to take on the flapping of the wind. It's not that the fabric is moving itself like this. So this is the same principle with your tongue. Your tongue, when you're doing a flap or a trill, is not using its muscles to do the quick movement, but rather you're bracing your tongue at the back of your mouth so that the tip is free and the tip is like floppy enough to take on that movement. So the flap is like this. It's not a muscle movement of this up and down. It's a movement of slapping the tongue against the roof of the mouth. Ah-da-da-da-da-da, that's a flap T. Ah-da-da-da, Saturday, butter, better, getter, got him, get him, getting, betting. Flap, 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 flap. Now, what's interesting about the flap T or the tap or the flap symbol, in other languages, this is an R sound. So in Spanish, there's a trill and there's a flap. So the trill represents double R sounds in the spelling of Spanish words. Let's use the example perro, perro. So that's a trill in the middle, perro, P-E-R-R-O, right? But what about the Spanish word for butt, P-E-R-O, pero, pero, pero. So that tap, that flap, which is a T in North American English, is an R in Spanish, pero, pero. That flap is an R in Russian, 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 carry, Russian. That R sound or that flap could be an R in multiple other languages. But in North American English, we use this to represent a T that leads an unstressed syllable. So we're going to hear the flap T or the tap T in words like party, started, better, getting, writing, hitting. Sorted. I got made fun of. I used to live in New Zealand. I worked at the Ministry of Education, and everyone in New Zealand all the time says things are sorted, right? But they say it in their accent. All sorted. Oh, it's all sorted, sorted. And to them, sorted, S-O-R-T-E-D, that is the T sound for them. And then when I would say sorted, sorted, it's sorted, they're literally hearing S-O-R-D-I-D, sorted, which is an adjective for things being bad or horrible or awful. So when you say it's all sorted in an English accent, a North American English accent, to people from New Zealand or England or maybe even Australia, they're going to hear sordid, the adjective meaning bad or horrible. So that's something I experienced, some mild bullying I experienced in the workplace because of my accent. So I can definitely feel for people getting hassled because of their accent. And when you're just at the grocery store, you're at the countdown at the cashier and you just want to buy your, Capiti cheese, and the cashier is saying, "Oh, you have such a nice accent. Where are you from? Oh, your English is so good. Where are you from?" And I would be like, "I'm from Wellington. I'm an immigrant. I live here." But where are you really from? So I get it. It's not like a whole second language or anything, but I get it. I get being asked where you're from and talking about your accent and pronunciation and how annoying that can get. So are you going to flap ear T's? Do you flap ear T's? If you're living in North America and you want to have a native-like English accent, you're definitely going to be flapping your T's. If you want to have more of a global English accent, you could say better, written, getting. It's not British sounding, but it's not North American sounding, right? It's getting better. I had written about how it's getting better. I've definitely met people who have accents like this. Usually they're kids of like parents who's moved around the world when they were growing up. So they have this global English, which is kind of like this it's not transatlantic. It's not a transatlantic accent. It's not one of those accents like this. It's not one of those like cheesy made up like accents of the 50s in order to blend British English and American English. It's literally just English that's picked up from around the world that doesn't carry some of those regional features that it otherwise would. Do you have any questions about this? About the British accent? About the flap T? About the aspirated T that we use? Clip T's, release T's. We use all sorts of these T sounds in English. And just depends really on the phonetic environment. So let me know if you have any questions about that, and I will talk to you in the next video. Thanks for tuning in. I'm salty.